Hi, Julia.
Hi, Alicia. I'm going to be eating dinner. Martina and I went to dance class online.
What happened?
Martina and I went to a dance class online.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hi, Pat.
Hey, we're going to give about, I would say about 3 or 4 more minutes for other people, and then we'll start.
Miss Hilton, is that you?
No, it's my doppelganger, Miss Boyd. No. Yes, it's me. Good evening, Miss Boyd. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Just working on something on my
No, I didn't know who it was. It was you or colleague.
Oh, hold on. Oh, my camera isn't on. Sorry. I didn't realize my camera wasn't on. I'm just switching screens. How are you? Oh, here I am.
Yeah, there you are.
Good evening, everyone.
Nolan, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Nolan? Oh, okay. So it's 7:05. Am I correct this time?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to start the meeting. Again, I want to welcome everybody. And the rules of order for Community Board 9 is still in place. I think Fred Baptiste, he has something to say to all of us committee members and community residents.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, good evening to everyone. Good evening to residents, committee members, members of Community Board 9. This evening, on the agenda, we were scheduled to discuss the development project on Franklin Avenue. As of last week, there was a TRO that was instituted by the judge with regards to the development project. After conversation with Corporation Counsel, it may be difficult for us, or actually we probably would be prohibited from actually discussing the development for this evening.
That's not true, Fred. I just spoke to the judge
Okay.
about a half an hour ago, and that is not true.
Okay. We
And
spoke.
and
Ms. Boyd.
so please
Thank you.
don't say
Ms. Boyd, thank you. So after conversation with Corporation Counsel, it's deemed that until we get further clarification from the court, that we not further discuss the development. So for this evening, that item is going to be removed from the agenda. With that being said, when there is additional information, we'll be able to provide that to the committee, and it will be shared with the community as well. And any activities that need to be rescheduled can be done at that period of time. That's all I have for this evening. Madam Chair, if you have any other agenda items that do not deal with that, absolutely please carry on with your agenda. Otherwise,
No, I didn't have any other items.
I have a right to speak. I would like to.
Just one moment, Ms. Boyd. One moment. Nicola had her hand up first, and then I see Ms. Barnes. Just give everyone a moment.
Hi, Madam Chair and Chairman. My understanding is that we are free to speak on the topic. It's just not an official ULURP meeting. It's not an official hearing that would be part of the ULURP process. But just as we were discussing the project before it was certified, we can continue discussing the project and any concerns or issues or share information. It's just not an official hearing.
From the conversation we have with Corporation Counsel, we are staying away from that until there's additional clarification with regards to the topic in terms of what activities are permissible and not. So that is the reason why we're doing that, in terms of making sure we are not violating the spirit of the TRO. So there are conversations that are happening with that regard, and that's the reason why we cannot discuss it.
Okay, can we at least discuss whether or not we've received the requested documents that we've asked? We requested some documents, additional documents from city planning or the developer that were not part of the package.
I do not know, Mia, have we received any other additional information?
No, Mr. Wallace has not supplied any of the supplemental information that was discussed during the presentation, and DCP has not forwarded any additional information as well. Ms. Barnes had her hand up next to speak, then Ms. Boyd, and then I see Esteban.
Okay, good evening, everyone. That was my question as well, whether we received any of the requested documents. And in addition, is the ULURP, are we still in the ULURP process? Is the clock still ticking?
Have no information at this point. That's part of what we're trying to determine.
Okay, who else would, someone else?
Ms. Boyd had her hand up, and then Esteban.
Okay.
I was just in a conference with the judge, and I spoke to the judge and the counsel, and the judge was very clear. She said, you can do whatever you want, you just cannot have a hearing. They specifically asked, can they talk about the project? Can the developers resubmit an application? Can they change the parameters of the application? Can there be discussions? Can there be meetings? And the judge specifically said, yes, there could be meetings. There cannot be any hearings. She said, you can discuss this process. She said, because the restraining order is for the ULURP process, it is not for discussion. We've had discussions before about this process. We've had discussions about the development. I think that, Fred, this is just an attempt to curtail community input and to have a community discussion. We, for the last 9 months, have been asking for documents. Every time we've been told, oh, wait till you get to the ULURP process and then you're going to get the documents. And then we're going to proceed and have this big discussion. And yet here we are in the middle of the ULURP process, no documents still have not been forthcoming to the community. And yet now all of a sudden, when the TRO is in place, and the TRO is in place because we have not had in-person hearings, because everyone should have the right to attend the meetings, which everyone did not have that right at the last hearing, and be able to see what's going on. Now with something we can't have any discussion, very conveniently, we can't have any discussion about the things that we still need, which are the documents. Where are the documents? Why can't we get the documents? And we've been asking, you've been passing all of these rules here, these motions, but when we ask for the proof that you've asked for these documents, we can't get the proof. Why is it that we cannot get the proof from Ms. Hilton that you've been asking for these documents? Because all we hear is, well, we've been asking and we haven't gotten it. We've been asking, but we haven't gotten it. Yet when I put a FOIL in to receive the proof that you've been asking, where are those where is it? Where's the proof that you've been asking for these documents? Because I don't see the proof. Why can't we see that? We're talking about transparency here, Fred. Why is it that the entire process is not transparent? If you've been asking for the documents, where's the proof that you've been asking for the documents? I'm asking you a question, Fred. Where's the proof? Where's the proof that that you've been asking for these documents?
The requests have been made by the district office.
And I asked for a copy of those requests. Those are public documents. You're working on behalf of the community. If I put it in writing and ask for them, I should be able to get them. Why can't I get those copies of those requests?
Do you currently have a FOIL on file with the office?
Yes, I do have a FOIL on file, several
Okay.
FOILs on file.
So then they're being processed by the office. Then they're being processed.
Well, how long did it
Requests have
take?
been made.
Yes, but I made that request in almost a month ago. How long does it take for you to respond back and say, here, Ms. Boyd, here's the email that we sent requesting the documents?
I'll discuss that with the district office in terms of where we stand with it. But if the FOIL is there, then we will process.
Well, this FOIL has been there and you have not processed it. And you're in violation of the FOIL because you're supposed to process it within 5 days, especially if it's a readily available document, which it should be because you're making the request. Why all the secrecy? If you're making these requests, I don't understand where the secrecy comes from. Why is there such a reluctance to share with the community what you've done? Because we're not getting results from what you've done, that's for sure, because we're not getting the documents.
Okay, next question. Are there any other questions?
Was one other person?
It was me. It was just a
Oh,
question about
that's
the,
fine.
like Maxine had asked about the timeline and whether this pauses the timeline or not. That's probably an important thing to figure out because that means we'll have less time. It obviously wouldn't make any sense, you know, but maybe something to bring up with Corporation Counsel if they expect this to actually push back the timeline for the amount of time that the TRO is in place. Yeah, it's something we probably should know because if not, we're going to be very, very rushed to try to do the hearing and all that stuff. So.
That's definitely the consideration. And we're going to make sure that that is a conversation once this has been resolved. But that's something we're definitely keeping an eye on.
Okay, so that basically, that was the only thing that I had on my agenda. So therefore, since I can't discuss anything, and I'll just have to close out the meeting.
Before we close, if we're having problems getting the documents and there's now a lawsuit, can we ask the judge that's going to be providing documents as part of this lawsuit if the community can receive the documents that have been asked for and requested from city council and the developers?
I think that
Not
matter
city
is
council, but city
yeah.
planning.
I think those two matters are separate, are separate matters with regards to any documentation. You have those requests in and where, you know, the office will be able to process in terms of identifying any, you know, any requests that have been made and what we received.
Okay,
I have a question. I have a question. Just
Go ahead.
piggybacking on Nicola, she's asking, will the community board ask the court for the documents? Not for the city planning, because you said you've asked city planning, they haven't given it. You've asked the developers, they haven't given it. So the question is, will you ask the court for the documents?
Are you speaking to me? Or who are you speaking to?
I'm speaking, there's a question on the floor, right? The question is, can this committee ask the court for the documents?
Okay. I wouldn't have an answer to that, because if legal is involved, then I guess they would have to tell us how we can go forward or not go forward. So I would not want to.
Or can you ask? But then can you ask me?
Well, but then it goes again to process, and I think that's part of what's being considered in terms of what the impacts are. So that'll be something I'll defer the answer to that until this is resolved, and then we'll have an idea in terms of where we're going forward, how we're going forward.
But what do you mean by process? Impact? What does that mean? We don't have documents. I don't understand all of that language, Fred. But
Right, and what I'm saying is,
can you ask the court for the documents?
I don't know. I don't have an answer at this point. So we
Well,
can
why
make the
don't you
request
just
and we can
ask
see what
then
the
and
outcome
find
is.
out? Why don't you ask and then find out?
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Of course you don't want to. That's clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's clear you don't want to get the information.
Is thank you or no? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I said, is thank you a yes or a no? You didn't answer the question, Fred.
I did. I said, I don't know where the process is. We're going to see what we
But
can
the
do as we
question
work
was
with
to
this.
ask.
And I don't know where we stand with regards to that. After we have a conversation with legal, we will know what options we have, what the process is going to be, and we'll see what is done separately, when is done apart. I'm saying is, I don't know how to answer the question. I will find out how we can answer the question, but part of it is we have to have a conversation with Corporation Counsel.
You know, you keep talking about conversations that you're having with corporate, and yet I just had a conversation with the judge, and you're telling me that corporate told you that we can't do anything, but I had a conversation with the judge, and the judge said that we could do something. So I'm just kind of wondering how these conversations are happening, because you're saying one thing and the judge is saying something else. Because if the judge can sit there and tell all the respondents and the petitioners that they can do everything but have a hearing, and now we can't even have a discussion about this project because of temporary restraining order, because you got this from corporate. I'm wondering who you're talking to at corporate, when you're talking to them, and you know, why is there such a disconnect? Because if I'm standing in front of the judge and I hear what the judge is saying, and the judge made it very clear to everyone that they could do everything except have a hearing, and you're now being told by corporate counsel that that's not true, that we can't do anything, then I'm wondering, who are you talking to? And is anybody else a part of this conversation so they could be a third party that also helps to have you understand what it is the corporation counsel is saying to you? Because somebody's saying something that's not true.
And that'll all be determined.
Or are you having conversations with other people outside of just yourself? Or is there a third party that can verify what's being said between you and corporation counsel? Because this is our community, Fred. And this is our lives here. This is our life here. This is not some game that we're playing here. These are people's homes, and this is people's livelihood, and this is people's green spaces, and this is something serious, Fred. And you're sitting there telling us that corporation counsel is saying one thing, and I'm standing in front of the judge saying something else, and she's saying something else. So there's somebody who's lying, and I don't know who it is, but that affects all of us. This is not a game here. This is real. This is our life here. This is our community here. This is our playground. This is our park. This is our garden. This is our neighborhood that's at stake here. And we're supposed to be a part of that process, and we're supposed to know everything about this project. So again, are you having these conversations with corporation counsel with a third party standing there to verify what it is that you're hearing? Because I'm telling you, somebody's lying somewhere, and it's not me.
Have the conversation with Corporation Counsel. That is the advice we've been given, and we will work through the process as we have additional information. Absolutely, we're going to move the process forward. And that's all I can tell you at this point.
So the fact that we have a
Whoa, whoa.
TRO should be buying us time, and now we're just gonna waste the additional time that we've been given to analyze the options and the information that's been provided to us and have discussions about it on the ramifications and what it means for our community. If we're just now just going to not discuss it, we're losing another month. We've gotten at least this week to continue conversations. As far as I know, the clock has stopped, but as Esteban said, they haven't said it officially, so they can turn the clock back on Friday and give us the same timeline. So
Listen,
I don't see
right
what
now,
it hurts to at least have a conversation. It's an open meeting. We're not making any official votes, but we could at least talk about what we heard the last meeting. We haven't had a chance to debrief amongst ourselves since we had the developer present last month. We ended the call and we haven't been able to really talk since then. So what were people's reactions? Can't we at least talk about that? Like if we were a bunch of people on the street, we could have a conversation. People are talking about it. Why can't we as a community board talk about it? It's not an official hearing.
And there's a number of issues surrounding it, and I'm not sure, and I'm not a lawyer, and I wasn't privy to the conversations. But from the conversation I've had, we've been advised that we need to postpone the conversations until some certain matters of certain items with regards to the TRO are clarified.
Nolan had questions on how do we vote on this? We haven't even had a discussion on that. What is what are our parameters?
Absolutely, and all those details will still be worked through when there's clarity around the TRO and what activities and what the process is going to be. So the committee will still have the opportunity to have that conversation. When we have clarity around that, that'll be provided, that'll be shared with the committee, that'll be made public, and we'll proceed from there. But at this point, I don't have an answer for you in terms of what the scope is, what is prohibited, and what's not. So we're postponing the conversation until we get that clarification.
Nolan has his hand raised.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
Oh.
Just
ahead,
a quick
Noel.
question related to this. So when we get an answer, will we set up a special ULURP meeting in advance of the hearing? Because I think, as Nicola was getting at, like, there's a lot of work that we need to do as a committee before we get to that hearing. So I just want to know that we're still going to have that opportunity once we get clarification.
Right, once it's clarification, I think the committee absolutely working with the chair. The committee will have an opportunity to make sure that they are preparing, that you can outline what the process is. In terms of if there's additional preparation you need to do, the committee can do that. If there are any logistics that need to be taken care of, the committee will have an opportunity to do that as well. The only thing I'm saying is at this point is that because of this, because there's some clarity that the city's trying to get with regards to this, that is the reason why we are paused at this point.
Well, I would like to then state that I would like to invite one of the committee members or any committee members to come to the court, because the court has a closed session. So I would like one of the committee members or someone that is a part of this committee to attend the court session with me, so that the questions can be answered and asked to the court directly, not through the judge, not through anybody else, so that there's clarity about what this community board can and cannot do directly from the judge's mouth. Are you willing to send someone to the court that will just listen to what the court has to say and report back to this committee and report back to the community exactly what the judge is saying can and cannot be done, because she's going to be doing this on the 18th of this month via video.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that yet. So that'll be a conversation that'll be had separately. And if representation is required, we'll figure that out.
Well, I am going to invite somebody. I am going to, because I'm the petitioner and I have that right. I will be inviting somebody from the committee to sit there and sit with me during the presentation and hear what the judge has to say, so that there can be evidence that's presented to this ULURP process, to this committee and to the community board, exactly what the judge said we can and cannot do, so that there is clarity about this. And I will be doing that. If you want to choose somebody, that's fine. If you do not, I will ask somebody from this committee to join that conversation and just sit as a witness so they can hear what the judge has to say.
The only thing that I can say, and I don't really know, but if lawyers are involved, let's just say the city is involved and the city has said that we cannot go discuss anything.
But the city didn't say that. That's the point. The city didn't say that, because I was at.
I'm saying if the city council, I wasn't there, but according to what Fred is saying, if the city council says that we cannot discuss it, then we can't discuss it.
And that's why you go to the judge.
Even if I was sitting there, I still wouldn't be able to discuss anything because
that's why you go in front of the judge, because if the city council is telling you something that the judge is not saying, then it's a violation of the law. The corporation council cannot advise you outside of what the judge is saying. If the judge is saying that you have every right to meet, that the judge is saying that you have every right to have a discussion about this issue, if the judge is saying that and corporation then turns around and tells you untruth, then that is a violation. They are violating the law.
And this is why I don't want to get into that because I'm not a lawyer. All I'm saying is that if we were instructed not to do something,
right, but you have to be instructed by the court. Then you have to be instructed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the court to write exactly what you can and cannot do and put it in an order. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the court to put it in an order, and then I'm going to present the order to you. Now, the order is the order of the court. It bypasses corporation council.
Whatever the order is, it's a matter of refer that to corporation council.
And I will refer, well, obviously I will refer it to you because you obviously seem to think that the judge's decisions are not important. It's just corporation council's wording that'll go to you. But I will have somebody, I will ask people to attend this meeting for this.
And now, with that being said, this is part of the problem. We do not know what the legal posture is for the board. We don't know where.
And you will find that out from a court.
And Ms. Boyd, thank you. And we do not know what's going on with that, which is the reason why I would advise for all committee members to not necessarily make a commitment because, you know, as in your position as a committee member of Community Board 9, I do not know what that means, if it's something that's allowable, if it's something that's doable. So I would recommend, at least at this point, until we get further word, that nobody makes the commitment in terms of saying we're going to go, and especially not on behalf of Community Board 9. We're working through this. We're still getting word. We're still getting answers. I don't know the answers. Some of the information I just don't have at this point. But as we do have it, the commitment is, yes, we are sharing it with the committee, we're sharing it with the chair, and we're sharing it with the board. So when we have the answers, that's the commitment.
Fred, before I end, I just want to put on the record that to you, it's really important for us as a committee to know if the clock is stopping or is it continuously going on while this is happening. Because I don't want our 60 days to run out and we can't talk about it. So if you could just find out if the clock is going to stop, and then we will still have that time, you know, whenever we can discuss it.
Yeah, I think that it's fair to say that I think that it's a conversation we can absolutely have in terms of, obviously this is an interruption in terms of the process.
Right.
And obviously the committee is losing time. So I think it's absolutely a case that should be made. I don't want to jump in front of it first, in front of it, where it's like, let's get this rectified and let's get the clarification in terms of where we stand and what's required. And absolutely, I think there should be a case that's made for, okay, well, listen, we lost 4 to 5 days, a week or 2, whatever it is, we should have some kind of conversation around how is that given back to the board in terms of being able to process this. Again, I think that, listen, it's very important work that you've been doing, and I want to honor and respect that. Absolutely, I want to make sure that, you know, the ULURP committee has the opportunity and this board has the opportunity to have its say in the way it should. But I think that those are certain conversations that have to happen first, certain things that have to happen first, but we're going to pursue that process. We're going to make sure that that order is followed.
Okay, I'm going to close. You got.
Well, I see Esteban.
Oh,
Esteban did you have one last question?
Yeah, just a question about the, so in terms of somebody showing up for, for a court date, I mean, I think that really has to do with whether you're like actually officially representing the committee or you're there as a private citizen. I went to literally every single court appearance for the 2018 Franklin Avenue rezoning, for example, as myself and as a community member. And I don't think that there's I don't think that they can legally prevent somebody from doing that. Whether or not that means that, whatever that means, I want to make sure that that we're not preventing people on the committee or on the community board from doing something as a private citizen as opposed to as an actual representative of the board. And I think there is a distinction there. But yeah, just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
No, absolutely, and I understand the point, and I think you make a very good point. But the honest answer is I don't know. There may not be, but I'm not certain, so I don't want to say, or at least I think it's something that's appropriate to say. I'm not sure what the impact is. So before we make that commitment, let's see if we can get word in terms of, yeah, fine, you can go as a private citizen, or because of your position on the committee, it might be a conflict somewhere.
Well,
but honestly, I don't know. So
well,
that's why we
if you're a private citizen, and let's just say to me, and I'm not a lawyer, but if you're a private citizen, you can go, but you cannot speak on behalf of the board. You see, you have to be just what you said, a private citizen. You cannot speak on behalf of the committee or the board.
Just for clarity, no one speaks to the judge. It's just anyone who would attend cannot speak anyway. Only the petitioners and the respondents can speak, the lawyers that are representing them. So the people who would be invited would be just for observations only. They will not be able to say anything anyway.
Now, how is that done? Is that in person or how?
No, she's doing virtual hearings, so it would be done virtually. But unfortunately, her hearings tend to be closed, and so I will put the request in. Because I will let the court know that there is this conflict, that there seems to be a miscommunication that's happening between Corporation Counsel and the community board as far as what they can and cannot do. And I will ask that, that she allows a few people in so that they can hear her words and come back and report what they heard.
Respectfully, I just don't understand with a development this important, this is huge, this is the #1 issue in our community, why we have come here, taken out our time, and certainly, as Pat said, that was her agenda, and the questions wasn't asked. Fred is a parliamentarian. Why wouldn't those questions, critical questions, be asked? And now we sit here and we can't discuss. Respectfully, come on, guys. That is absolutely asinine. I don't get that. And I want to protest and let the world know that I am very discouraged by that. It is completely condescending, insulting, and you all should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I will adjourn.
You have Ethan who has his hand up.
Yeah, there's an Ethan with his hand up. Ethan?
Oh, Ethan.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a very, very quick question. I suspect you addressed this at the start of the meeting, but I had some trouble with my audio, so I didn't hear. But it sounds like the hearing is not going to take place on the 18th, or is that still an open question?
Still an open question.
Still an open.
The hearing is not going to take place because there's a temporary restraining order against any hearings. The judge said there cannot be any hearings on the ULURP process. She said you can meet, you can have discussions, you can make plans, but you cannot have a hearing. Those were her words that I spoke to her about an hour and a half ago. What the temporary restraining order is about. The temporary restraining order is not about the community board having conversations about this process. It's about the ULURP process, no official hearings being conducted, because that's our concern, is that the official hearing process is unlawful because it does not allow everyone to be able to participate.
So Ethan, the official position is we are on a holding pattern until we get additional information.
Thank you.
Any more questions before I dismiss?
Pat, are we supposed to discuss the comprehensive planning bill? Didn't we say at the last general meeting that we were going to come up with a letter?
You talk, what bill you talked about? We turned that over for a vote.
The
Yeah,
intro
we turned-
2186, and I think we voted that it needed to go back to committee to compose the letter, right?
We turned it over to the full board for a vote, and what was discussed was that they were going to, well, we all were supposed to review all the material so that a proper vote could take place. And that would be at, not here, that would be at the full board meeting.
Okay, so somebody is going to present a proposed language at the full meeting? How is this going to work?
No, there's a lot of, I think it's the material has to be, I don't forgot how many pages it is. We all, the board is going to vote, so we all need to read it. You know, I mean, like I said, and I'm quite sure you were there too. We spent 6 hours listening.
I know, it was,
yeah,
it was really, really
right,
long.
I mean, I can't take another 6 hours of it, but you know, but the full board needs to kind of get a little understanding, and then, you know, questions and stuff will be asked at that time. And that's why it's not on our agenda. And I only had one issue that we can't discuss, you know, and so that's what I had, so we could spread out all of our time around that, you know, public hearing or whatever we were going to do, but we're not allowed to do anything now. So on that note, I'm going to close out if there's no more questions. Okay, again, I thank everybody. I don't know when we're going to meet again. However, if we are able to meet and we can get the calendar together, I hope that we can all come together, you know, because we do need time to plan and everything and discuss the issue. Okay, thank you.
Pat, it's Warren. Motion to close.
Can I get a second?
Second.
So what the time is 7:39, am I correct?
Correct.
And so the next meeting will be announced. I don't know when that's going to be. That's it. Thank you again.